Good evening and welcome to POSTCAST as the Utah Jazz fall tonight. As a city gets ready for the Oscars here in Los Angeles, the best actor of the evening was whom?
Denzel.
Oh, no, that's who all our players wanted. But what about on the floor? Just the Clippers, was it a collective effort? Did they just get best director?
I think it was the best director, probably.
Lamar Odom might have been their best actor, but he's a supporting actor, and that seems to only happen against us.
Well, that was only once he's had that type of a game all season long, so you really can't say Lamar Odom. But the Oscars is in this building.
No, it's not. It's at the Kodak Theater in
Hollywood. Is that right? Is that where it's going to be?
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, it's crazy the things that happen. But Michael Jackson's memorial service was in this building.
Yeah. Ooh.
So, I was surprised when I saw that. All right, so what happened? The Jazz played, the starters struggled to open the first quarter. Mm-hmm. Jazz battled back beautifully. Millsap kind of keeps them in the game with his offense. Then Favors knocks Griffin way out of his game. The Jazz kind of feel like they're in pretty good shape. They battle back. Gordon Hayward has a brilliant second quarter. Al Jefferson's pretty good. And then they open the third quarter down 2, and it was just over like that. 14-0 run, ball game, and that group. So it turns out that the starting unit of the Utah Jazz gets outscored 27-6 in like 9 minutes of basketball tonight. That might be short, might be a little short, but something. How did that happen?
I thought they start scoring and they start pushing the basketball up the floor. Griffith started getting more engaged and involved in the basketball game in transition. He got a couple of offensive moves down there, and then he had the diving on the floor, those aggressive offensive plays there that got him going. And all of a sudden, the Jazz are wondering what hit him, because if you look at the way the ball game started in that third quarter, the Jazz were just standing around. I mean, they were getting out hustled. They were giving up offensive rebounds. I mean, they just were not doing anything to win the basketball game.
We have this deep team that, we've made the comment numerous times. It's 1 through 12. It's very deep. I have made the comment before that I'm not sure who our best player is. If you ask 10 people who our best 3 players are, you'll get probably 8 different names. Mm-hmm. On some nights, our 12th player, like tonight, Alec Burks, at times look like our best player. Is this just a case that when you go up against one of the 4 teams that's capable of winning a title, there's 4 teams in the NBA right now that can win a title. This is one of them. That their all-star laden starters are on our deep team are just that much better than our starters, and so they just really we can harangue them and complain about it and lack of energy, and they definitely could have done more. But maybe they just can't handle this matchup. I mean, there's probably an argument that if you were to draft the 10 starters of tonight's game, you would draft the 5 Clippers first and the Jazz 5 next.
That's a great way of looking at it. But let's look at it this way as well, because as good as they are, they're still at home. They, like the Jazz, are 21-6 now. Yep. They're 22-6 on this floor, which says 2 things: that the Jazz is going to have to play one of their better basketball games in order to beat this team, and the other is that they're not going to let you beat them, because this is our home floor, and we're very good, and if we are of championship quality, there's no way that they figure that the Jazz should be able to beat them here.
Is it a fair comment to make that still somehow 56 games into this season, that this team is not entirely aware yet of what it takes to win on the road?
And I think a lot of teams could be just like that. You
it's
say that
not
for
unique,
a lot of
right?
teams. Yeah,
right.
It's
a good point. I mean, sometimes we think we're the only ones
right.
stricken by that. And we definitely have a larger variance between how we play at home on the road. But if, for those geeks out there like myself, there have been huge statistical studies done that show there's only 2 teams in the NBA that truly have a home court advantage, that every team in the NBA plays better at home than they do on the road, and that the performance you see night in and night out is what every team, except for 2 teams in the NBA over the last decades, play. Their variance, instead of being 4 notches, is 7 notches, which shows that there's a real home court advantage, and those 2 are Denver and Salt Lake City, Utah. There's a common denominator between those two. It's why you can't drive today. It's called altitude, and so maybe it's hard for us because we do have a better, and our fan base is so incredible that we do have a larger variance than most teams home and on the road.
Well, and it's been that way for years, and so you hit a point that I think you will get no argument from me with that. Other arenas, and just look at some of the better teams in the NBA, and I'm not saying the Clippers are in that category, but where you hit that floor and you think that this team is better than us, or this team is 10, we're spotting this team 10 points before the ball is thrown up. The Clippers are not one of those teams, that's for sure, because I don't think they're there yet. Miami might be in some cases. I know back in the day there was a couple of teams there as well. But the key here is that when you have an identity and you find out how good you are on the road and how to win on the road, then you can play that way. And guys understand that. I don't think the Jazz see that right now. I think because you don't consistently get that type of a performance out of everyone. You touched on it a little earlier how some nights it's this player and some nights it's that player. And that's the sign that sometimes that you have enough talent to where someone's going to have a good night. But it's also a sign there where you just don't have those guys, LeBron and Wade and all those kind of guys that you know are going to perform, and then what other players are going to help out.
Let's talk about my viewpoint. I would single out for our best actor tonight. That we wouldn't have one because our lead team wasn't very good. So we would have our best supporting actor in a serious role. No, tonight I thought Gordon Hayward and Alec Burks were both terrific tonight.
Yes, I agree with that. Very much so, and yes, to give him the Oscar.
All right, we'll give him the Oscar. Gordon had a second quarter if he continues to play like that. And Gordon went to the free throw line 14 times tonight. There are not a lot of guys in the NBA that get to the line 14 times in a game.
And I noticed that he was dribbling quite a bit and hard in traffic quite a bit tonight. And that put him on the free throw line. And then again, and like I said earlier, you look in, he took tonight ended up taking 14 shots, ended up with 23 points. To me, that is being very efficient.
Cantor played funny minutes tonight. Got stitches. He didn't get to play much of the first half. And his second half minutes were kind of those not as serious minutes, but he played those minutes well. He probably deserves at least a nomination for a Oscar tonight. Well, the Jazz, in a city that's ready to celebrate their industry tomorrow, got run in the third quarter by the L.A. Clippers. Thanks so much for tuning into POSTCAST. On behalf of Ron, I'm David. We'll be back with you Monday against the Celtics. 6 tickets, 6 hot dogs for $90. That should be a fun one. The Celtics always are fun to see. And then on coming your direction on Wednesday are the Atlanta Hawks with the Bobcats on Friday. Jazz could pull off a win against a tired Celtic team on Monday. They could really kind of link a few together, and suddenly, despite tonight's performance, have won. I think it would be 7 of 8 so they can sweep this week and get themselves back up to 8 games above 500, 9 games above 500 if they can do that this week while the Warriors are on the road, and see whether they can make some inroads. So on behalf of Ron, I'm David. Have a good night. Safe weekend. Be safe.